Last time, Sorey went from casual archaeologist and sped ran his way to savior of humanity. He stumbled into Alisha's mess of a political career, learned that malevolence is apparently a thing, like a sickness you can just catch, just by existing. And then he got handed the shepherd's plate before he had time to process what lifelong destiny even means. Now, here's where things slow down, or speed up, depending on how much you like exposition. The part of the game we're looking at today clocks in at roughly 9 hours of gameplay, and a solid 3 of those hours are cutscenes and dialogue, which means you're spending about a third of your time not fighting monsters, but listening to nobles argue, watching Alisha get trampled by bureaucracy, and waiting for Lailah to stop speaking in riddles. But buried in all that talking is the real heart of Zestiria's setup. Sorey learning what it actually means to be the shepherd, Alisha struggling to keep her kingdom from falling apart, and Mikleo quietly wrestling with the fact that his best friend now has a holy glow-up that changes everything. So yes, it's a lot of words, but those words matter, right? So here's how things go down after Sorey faceplants into Alisha's lap at the Secret Blade Festival. He wakes up 3 days later at the inn, with Mikleo and Lailah waiting at his bedside like two very patient babysitters. They open with the world's most casual greetings.
Hey.
Well, good morning.
Apparently, Alisha handled all the lodging because she's still carrying this whole town on her back. The 3-person crowd at the inn is already hyped.
He's finally awake.
Thank goodness.
Oh my, he's younger than I thought.
Shepherd. Literally an overnight celebrity.
As they head outside, Sorey suddenly clutches his chest like he's auditioning for a soap opera. Turns out, he's just sensing malevolence now. Lailah explains with her usual cryptic flair.
This is proof that your body has already grown accustomed to my power.
She leads them to a scenic overlook where Sorey gawks at the lake.
Oh man, what a gorgeous lake!
Before immediately getting the sermon. The malevolence is everywhere. The shepherd must purify Hellions, and oh yeah, there's this little side quest called Defeat the Lord of Calamity. No pressure. Sorey takes it surprisingly well.
So, the Lord of Calamity is the source of all the malevolence, and it's the duty of the shepherd to find and put a stop to him.
Lailah, naturally, refuses to explain where to even find this guy because
the answers you seek are those you must discover for yourself, Sorey.
Translation, good luck, kid. After Lailah dodges questions about past shepherds with the subtlety of a toddler hiding behind a curtain.
By powers, I assume you mean the power of purification?
Oh wow, look at the pretty butterfly.
The group finally heads back to the inn. Sorey eats like he hasn't seen food in years, then receives a gift from Alisha, a letter, his sword, and a brand new shepherd outfit. Cue the peanut gallery.
Oh my!
So you can put lipstick on a pig.
Just admit it, Mikleo. You're jealous.
Alisha's letter is heartfelt and a little shy, thanking Sorey and inviting him to visit her at her estate, which of course he immediately does. When he shows up in full shepherd cosplay, Alisha compliments him, Mikleo throws in another pig joke, and then Sorey decides it's time for the big reveal, introducing invisible friends. Mikleo handles it gracefully.
Rudeness? You've never struck me as rude.
While Lailah insists on an overly complicated hand-holding, ear-covering ritual so Alisha can finally hear her. Once it works, Alisha beams.
I now have no doubts that the Seraphim do indeed live among us.
With faith restored and friendships deepened, Sorey leaves Alisha's estate fired up. The town is still covered in malevolence and they need clues, so he wants to start exploring again.
Relax, those ruins aren't going anywhere.
But Sorey's already halfway to his next adventure because, of course he is. Wandering through town, Sorey and Mikleo stumble across a child-sized figure in a robe with a giant turtle shell on his back. Naturally, Sorey's first instinct is
it a turtle, Hellion?
Except no, it's just a turtles, and apparently turtles aren't seraphim, or humans, or monsters.
Turtles are turtles!
They sell maps, they talk with a cartoon mobster accent, and they are very sensitive about being mistaken for Hellions. One minute you're calling them suspicious, the next you're getting a sales pitch about the proportionality of shell size and big-heartedness. The important part? These bizarre little guys are your map dealers for the rest of the game, because if you're going to save the world, you at least need to know where the save points are. Not long after we stumble upon our lead, we overhear a group of nervous workers. Apparently, one of their guys pulled a Houdini in the town's underground waterway and hasn't come back. Chancellor Bartlow doesn't like excuses, so naturally they're panicking. Sorey, ever the reckless optimist, decides he's the one who should investigate. Mikleo shrugs, Lailah sighs, and off they go into the damp labyrinth of malevolence. Inside, Sorey starts picking up on some serious bad vibes. His shepherd senses tingle, and Lailah gushes about how quickly he's adapting. She even teases him with the promise of true shepherd power, before fake tripping to dodge Mikleo's follow-up question. Smooth, Lailah. The bad vibes turn out to be a slime hellion, mid-meal, with a man trapped inside like a gummy bear surprise. Sorey and Lailah take the fight while Mikleo sees on the sidelines. They win, the man stumbles out dazed, and leaves convinced he was just,
You were drowning!
which, sure, is a much easier story to tell at the pub than I was partially digested by evil slime. But Mikleo has had it. He refuses to keep standing around while Sorey and Lailah play hero. He wants the power to fight too, even if it means becoming a sublord. Yes, that's the actual term, and no, the game never stops making it sound unintentionally awkward. Sorey, being the world's least tactful best friend, argues that Mikleo doesn't need to throw his life away. Mikleo, not thrilled with the frog metaphors being tossed at him, storms off with all the grace of an offended theater kid. Lailah claps like she's just witnessed the timeless beauty of male friendship, while Sorey pouts and insists he doesn't understand what's happening. Deeper in the ruins, Sorey comes across a sealed royal door. With the kind of puzzle-solving logic only found in JRPGs, he decides to stab it with the royal knife. So of course, it works. Archaeology. This would normally mean the government could be covering something up here. Royal knife, royal door. I don't think the game pulls on that thread for the rest of the game. Inside, they find an ancient altar where Lailah once made her pact with a previous shepherd. Cue a heartfelt conversation where she warns Sorey not to shoulder the world's problems alone, advice he immediately ignores. She grabs the glowing ball from the altar and hands it to Sorey, calling it an iris gem, which is supposed to show visions of the past. Only problem? Sorey can't see anything. The real payoff comes when they run into another horde of slimes. Cornered, Sorey unlocks the ultimate power, Aromatization. Basically, he fuses with Lailah into one fiery superform, complete with a sword that looks like it was pulled straight out of a Final Fantasy fever dream. He wins, feels awesome, and then immediately discovers he can't turn it off, which leads to Lailah teasing him with the world's most polite burn.
So, you can't read the Earthen Historia. You were able to unleash the power of aromatization with amazing speed, and yet now you can't turn it off. Sorey, you're just a total mess. The shepherd's a mess, I guess.
When they finally emerge from the ruins, Sorey decides it's time to return Alisha's knife and maybe track down Mikleo, who he's totally not worried about because apparently reckless optimism also covers ignoring your best friend's temper tantrum. The workers from earlier, meanwhile, have caught shepherd fever. They thank him, praise him, invite him to dinner, and basically turn him into Ladylake's new mascot. Sorey is overwhelmed, Lailah finds it charming, and somewhere in the shadows is a nice tidbit of foreshadowing, a suspicious man. Because nothing says political intrigue like overhearing someone in a cave mutter about invitations. Next stop, Alisha's manor, and maybe, if Sorey's lucky, Mikleo hasn't gotten himself eaten by something slimy in the meantime. When Sorey shows up at Alisha's estate, she's in the middle of a very serious conversation with Lady Maltran, her knight preceptor / life coach. Maltran's pep talk basically boils down to, "You're doing great, but maybe stop driving the Chancellors insane." Alisha bows out politely, proving once again that she's too good for her own government. Then she notices Sorey standing there like a kid caught peeking in through the window.
Oh, Sorey!
Hello there. Should I come back later?
Maltran introduces herself to him in perfectly knightly fashion.
Please do all you can to help Alisha. She could use the support of a good friend.
Translation: she's already carrying a kingdom on her back. Don't screw this up. After Maltran leaves, Sorey's first reaction is basically fanboying.
Wow, I gotta say, she's totally got it together.
I know, right? My dream is to be as cool as her.
And because Sorey can't resist a dramatic reveal, he whips out the royal knife from Alicia's ruins.
This is for you.
Alisha gasps like he just returned her missing wedding ring.
This is an important item that's been handed down in my family for generations. I thought I'd never see it again.
It's a sweet moment until Lailah interrupts from inside Sorey like an impatient voicemail.
I do apologize, but may we get down to the matter at hand?
Cue the weird hand-holding ritual. Alisha hears Lailah's voice, again, and freaks out, again, confirming her bedtime reading wasn't all fairy tales. Even Sorey admits it's an improvement over the old hold your breath and hope method.
Good riddance.
From there, Lailah drops some heavy lore. Seraphim can become lords of the land if given a vessel and the worship of the people, which in turn keeps malevolence in check. The catch? Ladylake Sanctuary is basically running on empty. No vessel, no prayers, no protection.
No way.
Alisha tries to help, suggesting Father Brunor, one of the few sincere priests left. Off to the sanctuary they go, but he's not there. The backup plan? Alisha suggests a possible solution may lie north at the Galahad Ruins and its holy waterfall. Problem: Hellions have already moved in, and the last squad of 10 soldiers that tried clearing it out didn't make it home. Sorey is instantly ready to dive in swinging.
To the Galahad Ruins! There's Hellions to smack.
Alisha, meanwhile, is begging to come along, and Lailah conveniently reveals the squire loophole. If she becomes Sorey's squire, she can actually fight. Alisha doesn't hesitate.
Please, take me as your squire, so that I may see my homeland free of malevolence.
It's touching, and Sorey seals a deal with the ancient tongue.
Melphisamechia!
Suddenly, Alicia's powered up, beaming.
Happy to be your squire, Sorey.
Did you forget about Mikleo? It's okay, the game's got your back, because outside he's lurking, like a jealous ex watching through the window. But off they march to the Galahad Ruins, where they stumble upon a ceremonial bow that, surprise, is what the game calls a divine artifact. Lailah explains that divine artifacts determine the shepherd's armatization form. This one screams water seraph, which is awkward because Sorey and Mikleo still aren't speaking. But Sorey still reads the inscription on the pedestal, which is basically ancient graffiti.
Don't walk off with relics and other junk you find in the ruins, okay? Treasure chests are fair game, so go nuts.
Lailah calls it lighthearted. Alisha tries to turn it into philosophy, and Sorey just shrugs.
But I'm thinking this might just be a joke the ancients left for us.
Then, of course, the dungeon boss drops in, a swarm of giant centipede hellions. Fire, aka Lailah, is useless against them. Alicia's in over her head, and just when things look grim, Mikleo shows up.
Wait, whoa!
He ignores Sorey's attempted high five and cuts straight to the chase.
Lailah, let me become your sublord.
Sorey tries to protest, but Mikleo shuts him down with the line that defines their whole relationship.
Get over yourself. Do you really think this is your dream alone?
They forge the pact mid-battle. Lailah rushes through the ritual with an improvised
Etc.
and suddenly Sorey and Mikleo have their own water element armatus. Bow in hand, they wipe out the Hellions in style. Alisha is blown away.
Wow, that was amazing, you two.
Lailah notices Alisha can now see Seraphim, which feels like the world's most convenient side effect. At the waterfall, the group secures a ball of holy ice, stumbles into their first Earthen Historia vision, and then Sorey promptly collapses from the strain. Sorey wakes up the next day back at the inn. Apparently, Mikleo carried him on his back while Alisha covered with the world's least convincing excuse.
I told the innkeeper you were just doing some sort of magic trick.
In any case, Sorey, stubborn as ever, wants to push forward.
We gotta find the Lord of the Land and someone to pray at the sanctuary before the ice melts.
And Mikleo, ever the sass machine, backs him up.
The shepherd has spoken. Is it not the duty of the Prime Lord, Sublord, and Squire to follow him?
The squad is starting to feel complete. Sorey, the dreamer, Alisha, the idealist, Lailah, the fire alarm of exposition, and Mikleo, who honestly might just be the glue holding all this together. Before storming palaces and uncovering conspiracies, I found a skit at the inn lobby where Mikleo and Lailah have a conversation that feels like a mini support group.
Travel can be strenuous at times, but overall, I'm enjoying it.
Mikleo, trying his best to play the responsible little brother, reminds her this is her first time out after centuries tied to a sword, then casually confesses,
I'm glad that you two joined up with us, especially Alisha. Sorey's always been a lone human among Seraphim. It's a blessing to have her around.
Lailah picks up on the subtext. Mikleo's worried Sorey missed out on a real human childhood.
Please don't tell Sorey I said anything.
Lailah promises to keep it between the Prime and Sublord, which sounds more like a bad workplace NDA than a heartfelt pact. Meanwhile, Father Brunor is out in town doing his priestly duties. A woman insists her prayers were selfish, her son's wounds are divine punishment, and rumors are spreading that she's romantically entangled with the good father. That escalated quickly. Brunor reluctantly accepts her donation and mutters,
Guess I'll buy a drink.
Because nothing says spiritual leadership like coping with cash and alcohol. Enter Alisha and Sorey, who hit him with the ultimate guilt trip. Just kidding. They want him to enshrine a new seraph in Ladylake Sanctuary. Brunor nearly drops the bribe money.
Forgive me.
Sorey, ever the awkward shepherd, kneels and admits,
I know I'm still a fledgling shepherd who hasn't gotten used to things yet, but I promise I will do my best.
Even Alisha joins him on the floor, pleading for help. Brunor eventually cracks.
Though I am frail of body, I shall perform the task at hand with the entirety of my spirit.
And Sorey closes the scene out with,
Oh man, my blood's asleep.
Somehow, this deeply awkward moment convinces Brunor to step up. Before Brunor can get his new god duty started, we need an actual god to enshrine. With all the talk about a water seraph, I thought it'd be Mikleo, but map markers led me to Grifflet Bridge, or what's left of it. Here, guards blame flooding, but Sorey, with his flawless meteorology degree, insists
It wasn't caused by rain.
Cue a giant waterspout with a serpent hellion materializing inside. After a fight, purification reveals the serpent was actually a fallen seraph, Uno. Lailah explains the existential horror. Yes, seraphim can become hellions, and the fully corrupted ones are called dragons.
Dragons? Those really exist?
Apparently the bedtime stories weren't lying. Uno, racked with guilt, agrees to become Ladylake's Lord of the Land, and the group escorts him back to the sanctuary, not before the game reminds us there's a stalker around. Father Brunor, once again over his head, bows to thin air.
O venerable Uno, I am yet inexperienced, but would that I could serve thee for all eternity.
But he is earnest. I'll at least give him that.
The blessing returns to town, and with it a new to-do list. Keep the blessing alive with offerings. Alisha suggests rice balls, recalling a childhood story where a girl rolled one into the arms of a seraph.
Sounds like your kind of book.
It's not often you get a rice ball packed with authentic emotion.
Of course, peace doesn't last. Uno senses a powerful malevolence in town, and all signs point to the royal palace. Right on cue, the eavesdropper from earlier steps forward, delivering an invitation from Chancellor Bartlow. He slyly comments on Alisha's intimate relations with the shepherd, to which Sorey, completely missing the insinuation, just says, "Where to?" Because if there's one thing Sorey does best, it's walking headfirst into danger with a smile. So here's how it goes. Sorey and Alisha stroll up to the palace gates thinking they're about to get the royal treatment. Instead, the guards give them the DMV experience.
Forgive me, Lady Alisha. Lord Bartlow's orders were to allow Shepherd Sorey through. We didn't know he'd have a companion.
Translation, yeah, sorry princess, you're not on the list. But they let her tag along at least as far as the waiting room, where the crew kills time. Lailah says politics corrupt people, bold observation, really cutting edge stuff. Alisha admits her chancellors think she's a political nobody. Mikleo says we'd better relax because things smell like they're about to rot. He's right. They browse some palace books, stumble across a poetry volume called Mad Screams of Love, and proceed to roast it like a high school English class.
You just know the author's gonna look back at this 10 years later and cringe.
Lailah calls it an ode to young passion. Sorey actually likes it, and Mikleo and Lailah stare at him like he just confessed to enjoying Nickelback. Even the guard notices the floating book mid-air, but wisely decides to never speak of it again. Then a guard shows up. Bartlow is ready for Sorey, but not Alisha. She's being sent off with different orders. When Sorey enters the round table chamber, he finds Bartlow and the chancellors lounging with a suspiciously friendly banquet.
Poison pot pie.
Bartlow assures him it's fine.
We simply felt it would be best to be closer to you.
Which is always what you want to hear right before eating mystery meat. Introductions roll out, the army, the law, the church, and Bartlow himself. They try to pin Sorey as a false shepherd, accuse him of scheming with Alisha, then finally cut to the chase.
We are asking you to work under us. We want you to reinvigorate the people, boost their morale.
Bartlow even tosses him a bag of coins like he's paying off a street magician. To put the cherry on top of the deal, they also promise free access to Ruins, Sorey's true weakness. The kicker, though? Alicia's being transferred to Marlind.
They're sending her to a plague town?
And the way they casually joke about her possibly dying of illness really drives home the warm, family-friendly vibes. Sorey, to his credit, rejects the bribe.
I refuse.
He'd rather chase Ruins with his friends than sell out to 4 guys who look like they drink corruption for breakfast. Alisha storms in and scolds Bartlow. Things escalate, guards have rushed in, and Sorey nearly loses control of his power during the fight. After the brawl,
we will forgive this transgression. In exchange, you will never threaten the shepherd again.
Before Bartlow can shout treason, the lights blow out and assassins appear, blades at the Chancellor's throats. They call themselves Scattered Bones, and casually announce,
"That man approached us and tried to hire our guild to murder your princess here."
Bartlow squeals, denies everything, and gets promptly kicked to the ground. The assassins let him live, barely, then slip Sorey and Alisha through a secret exit into the palace waterway. Of course, it's full of monsters, including a Medusa-esque hellion named Echidna. The group takes it down, and Sorey realizes this waterway connects to the other waterway, and everyone marvels at Ladylake literally sitting on a mountain of buried history. Back outside, Sorey nearly faints from exhaustion, but Alisha insists on moving forward. At the inn, later, in front of a roaring fire, she drops the bomb.
I have decided I'm going to Marlind.
Mikleo practically chokes.
That's a plague town.
But Alisha stands firm. She doesn't care if it's punishment or a death sentence. She wants to help. They've done all they can do in Ladylake after all. Sorey pledges to go with her, and just like that, the team is back on mission. The Shepherd Squad is headed straight into Pestilence Country. Except, there's one tiny logistical hiccup. The only road to Marlind is the bridge where we fought the giant snake Ouroboros earlier. You know, the big gap in the stone over raging waters. But this means before they can play heroic plague doctors, they've got to figure out how to even get there. So, to the bridge they go. On the way, the group takes a moment to discuss their new acquaintances, the Scattered Bones.
I still can't get over their skills.
Mikleo reminds him they're basically assassins for hire.
Maybe they're good people?
Good people? They're the most feared assassins guild on the continent.
It's a fun little reminder that in Zestiria, morality is more confusing than the battle system tutorials. When they get back to the broken bridge, Alisha storms off to handle the politics of reconstruction while Sorey meets Naif, a kindly old man who just wants to deliver some medicine. Sorey wants to help out, but every time he looks at Lailah, she's already shaking her head like a malfunctioning bobblehead. Naif, realizing he's basically guilt-tripping the shepherd, backpedals.
It was wrong for me to ask favors of you just because you're the shepherd.
Mikleo sums it up bluntly.
And we're not a freight company, you mean?
Eventually, they agree the real solution is rebuilding the bridge itself, with a little help from an Earth Seraph. And wouldn't you know it, an Earth Seraph is rumored to live next door atop Rayfalke Spiritcrest, a mountain rumored to have, dragons. Lailah insists there weren't any last time she visited with the previous shepherd. The celestial record has no mentions of such legends, so Sorey decides to check anyway. Alisha stays behind to win over the stuck travelers, a split in paths that says a lot about both her political instinct and Sorey's recklessness. Also, this limits what we can do here. In battle, each human can have 1 seraph fighting by their side. 2 humans equals 4 fighters. Alisha gone means our fighting power just got cut in half. Anyways, the mountain trek quickly escalates. The group stumbles into a troll fight, only for a shirtless stranger with a gun, yes, a gun, to intervene. Meet Zaveid, who casually powers himself up by shooting his own head. Don't ask. He kills the Hellion outright, brushing off purification as pointless. Zaveid presents a questionable philosophy.
Besides, death is a kind of salvation. Some.
He came here for something, but since the shepherd's here, his plans took a detour. So he picks a brawl with Sorey, then shrugs it all off.
Said I'm sorry already, sheesh. I'm not your enemy.
He exits with one last warning. If they meet a dragon, run. Before moving on, Sorey buries the dead former troll. Further up the mountain, the scattered bones reappear. A masked assassin challenges Sorey's right to call himself Shepherd, only to be defeated. Then, in a strange turn, another assassin swoops in, not to kill, but to rescue their comrade. It's a bizarre sequence from a guild built on fear, and it deepens the riddle. What do they really want with Sorey? Finally, wouldn't you know it, dragon sighting. A massive malevolent beast crashes in.
Legendary harbinger of destruction. A dragon. Well, this is bad.
Just when things look hopeless, a girl with an umbrella strolls out of a cave, blocks the dragon, and scolds everyone with,
Is there a school you go to get that dumb?
Enter Edna, deadpan, sarcastic, and unimpressed. Turns out the dragon is her brother, Eisen.
I thought there had to be some way to cure his condition, but I haven't found anything.
Lailah dashes all hope with the hard truth.
Once a seraph has become a dragon, even the flames of purification cannot salvage them.
The only option left is death, which echoes Zaveid's words in Sorey's head. Sorey, still stubbornly optimistic, tries to convince Edna to leave, but she brushes him off.
This is none of your business.
Then, to punctuate her feelings, she literally rock launches herself out of the conversation. Lailah sighs, Mikleo groans, and Sorey decides they're going after her whether she likes it or not. On their way down the mountain, Sorey finds Edna standing over the grave he dug earlier. What follows is less a heart-to-heart and more a negotiation. Edna insists she's not leaving, Sorey insists he's not giving up on saving Eisen, and Mikleo sighs.
There he goes again.
Against all odds, Sorey convinces her.
There must be a way to purify the dragon somewhere. Just waiting for the right person to find it.
Edna rolls her eyes, calls him out on his melodrama, but ultimately agrees.
All right, Sorey. You win. I'll go with you.
Her recruitment comes with one condition. She's making a sublord pact. Edna bulldozes Sorey's protest because what Sorey fails to realize is, when she leaves the mountain, she can't do much without the pact, and the pact will also protect her from corruption.
Academy valedictorian, this one.
She even admits,
I do hate humans, but I guess this one's pretty okay.
With that, she drops her umbrella, reveals she's had a divine artifact the whole time, and joins up. Sorey thanks her. Edna counters with,
Promise me something. Promise me that we'll find some way to save Eisen.
And just like that, the grumpy little sister is officially on the team. Of course, Edna wastes no time breaking in the group. She teases Mikleo with nicknames like Meebo, reducing him to a sputtering rage. Sorey protests from the back.
Can you guys not practice your comedy routines inside my head?
Too late. Edna's already established dominance. Heading down the mountain, the shepherd gets ambushed by another assassin, this one suspiciously strong. The battle ends with her defeated, only for a new seraph, Dezel, to appear and whisk her away. Lailah explains he's a wandering seraph once tied to merchants, and everyone quietly agrees there's more going on here than anyone wants to explain. Mikleo is especially baffled.
A pure and clean of heart assassin? Really? They make those?
Apparently.
Sorey wrestles with the idea that being shepherd means taking on the burden no matter how little sense it makes. Edna offers her usual encouragement.
Don't fool yourself. Humans don't think for a moment about how you feel. But what do you expect? They're humans.
Subtle, she is not. Back at the broken bridge, Sorey plans to rebuild it with Edna's help, but is warned against showing off godlike powers in public. I chose to have him listen, for once, and they wait until midnight, fixing the bridge with Alisha at his side while, surprise, Naif watched the whole thing anyways. Grateful, Naif entrusts Marlind to Sorey and Alisha, cheering them on like they just won the JRPG playoffs. Crossing the river, the party finally reaches Marlind, and it's about as cheery as a morgue. Sorey gasps at the gloom, and Alisha whispers,
Is this because of the epidemic?
Before anyone can answer, a dog trots up. Mikleo freezes. Turns out the Great Water Seraph has one weakness: dogs.
Not particularly.
Then the dog morphs into a snarling hellhound. Lailah explains it's the plague itself given monstrous form. Marlind is diseased, and that disease is literally generating demons. Inside the sanctuary, things look worse, sick people everywhere. The guards greet Alisha with relief, but also despair.
At this rate, the entire kingdom may very well succumb to its ravages.
Sorey tries optimism.
Things will be okay. They've got resources now.
But even Lailah isn't buying it.
I suspect that they are not the true source of this epidemic.
A stronger Hellion, born of powerful malevolence.
And right on cue, something winged circles above.
The dragon!
No, it's just a Hellion. You can tell because the humans don't see it.
The creature lands near the great tree, forcing the group into a brief, panicked encounter with a drake before they retreat to the sanctuary in front of a crowd of confused sick people. Smooth. Sorey pieces it together. Purify some malevolence, weaken the drake.
Well, you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Alisha cringes.
Though your choice of metaphor less so.
It's half strategy, half blind faith, but it's enough to launch Operation Slow and Steady. Their investigation leads them to a woman hoarding books. She claims she's protecting them for her deceased daughter, but Mikleo smells something off. Alisha pushes, and soon the truth comes out. She's been selling them on the black market. Racked with grief, she breaks.
Haven't I suffered enough? Can I not have something good for once in my life?
Malevolence begins to stir, but fades as Alisha takes the books and promises justice.
The malevolence is fading.
And Edna delivers the closing jab.
Earth dwellers are such a chore.
Oh, and before the woman submits to her detainment, she gives Sorey something and requests to give it to Naif. Anyway, the trail leads to Marlind's museum, now abandoned and dripping with malevolence. Inside, the group stumbles through creepy riddles and debates over statues. Eventually, they confront the source, a Knight Hellion, Knight Arthur. It's not a ghost or a cursed relic, but a tiny, eccentric seraph named Attack. These little guys are called Norman. This one comes with a southern drawl and way too much energy.
Rancid Pricklebores, what's gotten into you?
Attack confesses he lost himself to rage when humans began destroying and selling off art during the war.
I felt my anger bubbling up, but I was beyond caring. And that's when I became a Hellion.
So, even something as pure as love for art can curdle into malevolence when filtered through war, greed, and bitterness. As the party leaves, the takeaway is clear. Lailah warns,
Malevolence can come from anyone's spirit, and for us Seraphim, the influence we receive from the vessel in particular can be a danger.
And just to twist the knife,
a shepherd's emotions towards the people he rescues are also his greatest enemy in a way.
Sorey swears to stay optimistic.
Didn't she just tell you not to be so stiff and serious?
Welcome to Marlind, a city of sickness, stolen books, art snobs, and a baby dragon problem. After some pest control, aka clearing out Marlind's hellhounds, Sorey and friends finally get a moment of relief.
The epidemic here should settle at least a little bit now.
But, in true Tales fashion, the peace lasts all of about 5 seconds. There's still the small matter of the giant dragon-looking Hellion terrorizing the city. Off to the great tree. And that's where Edna steps in, or out. She mysteriously disappears, only to return by smacking Mikleo on the back of the head with her umbrella.
I'm back.
But she's not alone. She's brought Attack, the self-proclaimed fancy Norman, who immediately volunteers.
Heard tell you folks could be using an extra jolt of power.
Suddenly, the group has a plan. One powered-up arrow, one moonlit shot, and, hopefully, one very dead drake. On the rooftop, Attack charges Sorey with so much energy he nearly combusts.
Giddy rhymes! That's some power you got there. I can only handle one shot.
Luckily, one shot is all Mikleo needs. They nail the drake, knock it to the ground, and after a fight, purify it. Surprise twist, it was Marlind's guardian seraph, Rohan, who confesses,
I very nearly became a dragon. I have no right to continue protecting this town.
Cue Alisha throwing herself on the altar of guilt, blaming Highland's corruption for driving Rohan down this path.
If you must punish anyone, let it be me.
Rohan, touched but probably exhausted, relents and grants his blessing with Attack's help. Except, it doesn't work. Why? Because naturally,
there's still a mega powerful hellion running around near here.
That means we gotta find it, but Sorey gets worried about leaving the town in this condition and then starts spacing out.
You need a rest. In. Now.
Oh, and Attack gives us some lore. Apparently, Lailah once turned down 49 Norman who wanted to be her sublords.
The trauma nearly killed us. We all scattered over the globe to be alone with our melancholy.
You sadistic harpy.
Because nothing says epic JRPG quest quite like dragon slaying, moral collapse, and a collectible side quest disguised as tragic Norman backstory. After Sorey takes a much needed nap, things seem calm until the script demands otherwise. Alisha greets him at the inn with,
"How are you feeling?"
"Right as rain."
And Sorey delivers a pun so bad it nearly kills Mikleo.
"That'd be bad!"
Mikleo's sigh could probably power a windmill. But before Sorey can weaponize more dad jokes, remember Rose and Agil, the merchants we met in Ladylake? They show up with supplies. Rose calls him a superstar and then promptly shoves paperwork in his face. The shepherd may purify dragons, but apparently he also signs for deliveries. Rose also brings a message from Nafe. Turns out he requested mercenaries from Marlind, but they refused. Alisha, in peak princess diplomacy mode, volunteers to go ask again. Sorey shrugs.
"Wouldn't hurt to go try."
Rose eyes him like he's from another planet.
I get it. I get that you're weird.
So we go find the mercenaries, the woodsmen. Their leader, Lucas, greets Sorey with all the warmth of a wet sock.
"We don't do babysitting, and we won't get your kitty out of a tree."
Once he realizes Sorey is a miracle bridge maker, he flips the conversation into a TED Talk on capitalism.
"Money talks and horse crap walks. If you're serious about it, put your cash on the table."
5,000 gold later, the woodsmen are suddenly Marlind's patriotic defenders. Lucas justifies it bluntly.
"Let's say this epidemic kills one of my subordinates. Will duty and chivalry step in to take care of his grieving family?"
Well...
"But if I have money, I can make sure they've got a safety net."
It's brutal honesty, but it makes sense. Even Edna admits.
Their logic makes sense, though, if you buy their premises in the first place.
Bonus twist? They don't even take the full price. Mercenaries with a coupon policy. Who knew? So with mercenary security installed, Sorey heads to the Boar's Ruins. The group cracks jokes with Mikleo getting dubbed
Touchy-feelio
in the process, until they stumble into a giant mutant plant hellion. Just when we think the fight is over, the thing revives and nearly kills Mikleo and Alisha, forcing Sorey to armatize mid-panic and finish it with a fiery one-liner.
"Eat this!"
Edna doesn't let Sorey off easy.
Alisha and Mikleo nearly died because of you.
Translation: maybe don't zone out mid-boss fight. Apparently, the Squire Pact is wearing him down. Even Sorey admits he's at his limit. So much for...
"Right as rain."
The town at least gets its blessing back thanks to Rohan and Attack. The woodsmen report Marlind is stable, and for the first time in a while, things are actually... okay. And just when it feels like the arc is wrapping up, an assassin decides to bust in on us planning the next leg of our journey. She swoops in through the window. Alongside her, Dezel, that mystery seraph Lailah thought was hanging around merchants but is apparently in bed with assassins instead. They demand to know why Sorey is leaving Marlind. His answer?
"We've done all we can here. And I have more to learn elsewhere."
Dezel calls him out, then they vanish like a moody Batman duo. The final gut punch hits us back at the Great Tree. Alisha decides to stay behind.
We need to find someone to properly give tribute to Rohan. And I have to report to Ladylake about what happened in Marlind.
Sorey and Alisha share a heartfelt farewell, only for Edna to stroll in with perfect comedic timing.
Get a room, you two.
And with that, the shepherd's party shrinks by one, but the journey heads towards Roland's, leaving behind mercenaries, blessings, and one very sad Norman. Just kidding. Just as we're leaving Marlind, reality comes galloping in, literally, on a half-dead soldier and his horse. His urgent message?
"The Empire! The Roland's Empire is attacking!"
Translation: all that rebuilding and mercenary contract signing might have been for nothing. Sorey gives him a magical healing handshake, yes, really, and sends him back out to finish bleeding in style, probably. From there, it's a lesson in why the shepherd should never go near politics. Lucas rallies his mercenaries with the stirring battle cry,
"Let's go show those frou-frous in the capital what we're made of!"
A line that would sound a lot more inspiring if it didn't end with
"You bums!"
yelling in response. Sorey insists they escort civilians instead, and to my surprise, Lucas actually agrees. Maybe money isn't his only motivator after all, unless avoiding certain death counts as a business expense. We find Naif. Apparently the book-hoarding woman gave us a library key, so we give it to him, just in time to hear the children fighting over who gets to be the second Blue Valkyrie. At this point, Naif explains Lady Maltran's local hero backstory. Sorey files it away with a suspicious amount of interest because the game wants us to notice the contrast with Alisha. Maltran is the success story, the knight who wasn't meant to be one but clawed her way up. Alisha is the failure case, born to rule but powerless in practice. It's an intentional mirror, and the game won't let us miss it, even though Alisha's out of the party now. Naif also points us to the sanctuary for an iris gem, giving us a sepia-toned history lesson. Roland soldiers cheering their general, a king handing over a sword, the whole military pomp package.
Whoever he was, he sure looked like a hero.
It's not like that's a particularly uncommon type of scene, historically speaking.
Which is scholarly speak for calm down, buddy. Lailah insists they'll need more gems before any of this means anything, so another collectible scavenger hunt confirmed. With that out of the way, we go to the Great Tree, talk to Lucas, and head out to the riverbanks. And then the real punch lands. General Landon and the Highland Army show up at the bridge waving paperwork that says Alisha's been detained for treason. The catch? Sorey has to deliver Highland a battlefield victory to free her. The Seraphim argue about how this could warp the world, corrupt the shepherd, or end civilization in general. Edna cuts to the chase.
Don't get all stupid gung-ho about this war business, okay? Just do what you need to do to get this crap over with.
Sorey, of course, decides to fight, because when someone hands him a moral paradox gift wrapped in bureaucracy and blackmail, he says yes every time. To top it off, Lucas and the Mercs promise to join him because apparently retreat wasn't exciting enough. Oh, and in case all that wasn't enough foreshadowing, I had a clue that led me back to the ruins for another iris gem. This one shows us the author of the Celestial Record founding a village. Sorey's starry-eyed again, wondering if the guy was a shepherd. Mikleo, however, just spaces out entirely.
Poor Sikleo!
But let's do a quick recap. The Roland's Empire's at the gates, Highland just weaponized the shepherd's good nature, Alisha's in custody, and Sorey's only real backup plan is hoping Edna doesn't nickname him into an early grave. At this point, Sorey finally sets foot on the battlefield, and it's exactly what you'd expect. Arrows blotting out the sky, soldiers charging at each other like it's the world's most miserable mosh pit, wall of death, anybody, and a whole lot of screaming. In the middle of this chaos, General Landon thinks he's in charge, barking at Sorey to lead the front lines. Sorey just walks out because
what I have to do does not change, no matter whose battlefield it is.
Translation? I don't take orders from grumpy men in tents. From there, it's a mess of betrayal, despair, and some classic shepherd saves the day moments. Soldiers try to leave Lucas and his mercenaries to die, prompting Sorey to rage jump off a cliff, yelling,
"Loose Roth Roulette!"
Because if you can't solve war crimes, at least you can make a cool entrance. Cue some flashy armatization combos where Sorey shrugs off arrows, sends rocks exploding out of the ground, and scares soldiers into yelling,
"Highland has demons on their side! Run!"
The game gives us the most human angle here, though. Loyalty, grit, and the brutal reality that war has no clean victories. And if you thought that was the end, nope. Landon goes full supervillain, transforms into a wolf-like hellion, and tries to make "deliver the shepherd's severed head" sound like a motivational speech. Sorey fights, but he doesn't really win, because the malevolence pouring over the battlefield isn't Landon's. One optimistic jog up the hill, and we find this guy, Heldolf, the actual Lord of Calamity. His introduction is equal parts ominous and theatrical.
How brilliant your purity, your innocence. No painter could ask for a more pristine canvas.
This is where the game stops pretending. This isn't monster of the week evil. This is apocalyptic, capital E, evil. And it leaves Sorey physically and spiritually wrecked. And just when things couldn't get worse, they do. The beast roars, the seraphim vanish, Sorey now finds himself abandoned, surrounded by zombie-like soldiers and unable to armatize. He's literally screaming like a guy yelling at Alexa to turn on the lights during a power outage. Just when it looks like game over, an assassin shows up, saves him with a dagger to the neck special, and drags him off a cliff. The catch? The assassin gets speared mid-air, mask flying off, as they plunge into the water below. And that's where the curtain drops for this video. So we've met the game's main antagonist. We've also got a buffet of themes and characters, each with their own questionable seasoning. On one side, you've got Sorey, the human golden retriever who uses pure optimism as a weapon. He's standing there on the battlefield full of death, corruption, and despair, and somehow his response is, well, if I just believe hard enough, I can fix this. An attitude that nearly killed the game for me. Then there's Alisha. Her arc had so much setup. Princess torn between her duty and her ideals. Caught in a political system that doesn't value her, only for the story to quietly sweep her under the rug like a broken plot thread. It's a rug pull that left me wondering if the writers got cold feet halfway through. Edna? She's a whole different flavor. Deadpan sarcasm masking grief, bitterness, and loyalty. She cuts through the melodrama like a scalpel, and honestly, half the time she's more insightful than Sorey's earnest speeches. She's a reminder that humor can be a shield as much as a weapon. Zaveid shows up for, one scene, and yet, it's a moment. A flirtatious, gunslinging mystery man who somehow manages to reframe the stakes of the story just by existing. He's like the narrative equivalent of a mic drop. Walks in, stirs the pot, walks out. Meanwhile, the assassins are hanging around like background static. They're always present, always doing something in the shadows, but their true intentions? Still a mystery. Are they moral gray knights, opportunists, or just cosplaying as the plot's chaos agents? And then you've got Dezel, because why wouldn't you have a surly trenchcoat-wearing seraph tagging along? He's a brooding shadow to Sorey's sunshine, trailing behind the assassins and dripping with secrets. A couple of other things we're thinking about. The symbolism of malevolence itself. We touched on this in the last video. Evil mist floating in the air. It's literally people's despair and hatred given form. But the story keeps circling back to that idea. Corruption doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's grown out of human flaws. And then there's the whole shepherd identity, this idea of burden, legacy, and whether one optimistic kid can realistically carry the expectations of an entire world without cracking. So let's start with Sorey. His approach to malevolence can basically be summed up as see problem, run straight at it with a big smile and a lot of hope. And honestly, it nearly made me quit the game, because here's a kid, less than 20 years old, standing shoulder to shoulder with Lailah and Edna, two seraphim who've been around for literal millennia, and they're dropping hints like, hey, maybe don't throw yourself into the giant black pit of despair. And Sorey's response is essentially, cool, got it. Anyway, here I go. But as much as I hated watching him dive headfirst into the abyss, I think it's justified. Optimism has been his defining trait since the very beginning. It's the one constant in his life. And when Alisha walks into his story, a chance encounter of the first fellow human he's ever met, of course she's significant. She's the living embodiment of everything he's curious about, everything he's dreamed of beyond Alisha and the nearby ruins. And suddenly, Sorey is drowning in new ideals, values, and concepts all at once. Ladylake is basically his crash course in humanity. Politics, corruption, and malevolence all rolled into one rotten mess. He becomes the shepherd there, gets the sacred burden and responsibility thrown onto his shoulders, and has Lailah drip-feeding him lore and powers in carefully rationed spoonfuls. Add assassins popping in and out with mixed messages, and it's no wonder the poor guy's worldview looks like a puzzle box shaken by a toddler. After Ladylake, the stakes keep escalating. He sees the full horror of malevolence in Eisen. He sees what Ladylake's corruption does to people and serifs in Marlind. And when Alisha, his one human anchor, gets pulled away and detained, of course he feels the need to do something. I think that's where the break happens. Instead of synthesizing all these new lessons, he seems to default to the only strategies he's ever known: duty and optimism, the blunt instruments that carried him this far. Ironically, those same qualities are what take him down. His refusal to compromise, his blind faith in ideals, it finally cracks under the weight of reality, and honestly, that feels deserved. Because sheer optimism can only carry you so far before it turns into a liability. And to make it even more ironic, here's a twist. Just when it's about to be over for him, it isn't his ideals and his duty that save him. It's not even the seraphim who've guided him this whole time. It's an assassin's dagger, wielded by a woman who quite literally cuts him free from his own collapse. A moment where darkness saves light. I actually love this. But what I don't love is what happened to Alisha. Alisha's arc is one of those cases where the game builds something layered and promising, and then seems to trip over itself when it's time to land the payoff. Back in Ladylake, she's the picture of duty. Blindly loyal, sure, but you can respect it. She believes her government is flawed, but salvageable. She has enough conviction to try and make things better from the inside. That illusion doesn't last long. The first gut punch? Her own government tried to have her killed. When that failed, they landed on their backup plan. Ship her off to Marlind, a place so infected with plague and corruption, it might as well be a death sentence. That's exile dressed up as orders. And still, she goes. Because she's Alisha. We managed to get Ladylake blessed, so her job here is basically done. And because people are suffering in Marlind, she can't not go. Along the way, we see her sense of duty clash against Sorey's idealism. At the broken bridge, Sorey's pondering how to solve it as the shepherd. Alisha stays behind to manage guards and civilians. That split says a lot about their dynamic. Sorey wants to answer, Alisha feels bound to serve. Then, Marlind itself becomes a classroom in cruelty. The Knight Arthur Hellion? Actually, a little Norman whose love of art was crushed under war's indifference until malevolence swallowed him whole. The Drake? The town's own lord of the land, Rohan, corrupted while watching his home rot from the inside out. Both cases drive the same truth home. Duty isn't always noble. Sometimes it just eats people alive. And because the government is the root cause, Alisha takes the weight personally. She feels responsible. And then she meets Lucas and the Woodsman, another reality check. She was expecting selfless loyalty to the shepherd's cause. Instead, Lucas tells her flat out, "We've got families. We risk our necks. We expect to be paid." It's a slap in the face, but also exactly what she needed to hear. For the first time, she sees the world through survival, not noble duty. Up to this point, Alisha's story is powerful. It's a journey of someone trying to reconcile her rigid sense of responsibility with the messy, unfair truths of the real world. And then, the Plant Hellion happens. She gets critically injured and the game seems to shrug and say, well, I guess the Squire Pact is taking too much of a toll, time for her to leave. It feels sloppy because the narrative doesn't earn it. Lailah and Edna tell us the Pact is straining Sorey, but it isn't built up or dramatized enough to justify breaking everything apart here. Instead, the incident plays more like an excuse, a contrived reason to write her out of the party rather than a natural progression of her arc. And for me, that's the real disappointment. She goes from dodging assassination attempts, exile, corruption, disillusionment, and hard-earned lessons about reality to being sidelined, narratively, by a badly timed plant monster. From there, she's detained, used as political blackmail, and shuffled out of the spotlight. Not exactly the arc you expect for a character who had the potential to be a moral backbone of the story. Her journey should have been about learning that duty without perspective is hollow, that compassion means nothing if you can't balance it with pragmatism. Instead, it fizzles out into a limp excuse for her absence. To me, it's sloppy writing and wasted potential. Because Alisha didn't need to be perfect or invincible or always right. She just needed the space to keep growing. The story sets it all up, but then it says, never mind. Now, Tales of Zestiria loves its mysteries, and I don't mean the where's the hidden chest kind. I mean the why is this person here and what's their actual deal kind. The kind that feels less like exposition and more like writers dangling keys just out of reach while smirking at you. And honestly, I'm not complaining. Starting with Edna. But first, let me get this out of the way. I really don't like this trope. She looks like a little girl, but she's secretly this ancient powerhouse. That whole little person, big power thing that pops up in so many Japanese games and anime. Not really my favorite, but fine. Whatever. Zestiria at least gives her something else. Probably the best personality in the group. Dry wit, sharp sarcasm, a refusal to put up with anyone's nonsense. And beneath all that, a dark, unfinished history. Her brother, Eisen, has already fallen into full-blown dragonhood, and she's been sitting up on that mountain, just waiting. Waiting for what? For Sorey? For any excuse to finally leave? Because the moment she joins the party, she conveniently has a divine artifact ready to go, like she's been packed for this trip this whole time. It almost feels like she's been biding her time until she could finally cut ties with the mountain, and maybe her grief too. Then there's Zaveid. One scene, that's all he gets. He drops in mid-troll fight, casually kills the thing with a gun because why not, and leaves behind a line that sticks. Death is a kind of salvation for some. And that's it. Oh, and he punches Sorey around for a bit before telling him to run if he ever sees a dragon. Which raises the obvious question. Why show up at all? He knew about the dragon. He clearly had some reason to be on the mountain, but the moment he notices the shepherds out in the wild, he just bounces. It's a powerful, memorable scene, and it leaves behind a vacuum of questions. Who is this guy? What's his agenda? Why a gun? Why now? It's almost like the devs wanted to plant him in your head early, just so you'd keep asking about him long after he disappears. And it works, at least for me. And finally, the Assassins, the group that makes absolutely no sense. At least not yet. They first pop in, break up a fight with Lunar, and point Sorey straight to the Sacred Blade Festival, which conveniently leads to him becoming the shepherd. Then, during the royal dinner, they crash the party, loudly announce they were hired to kill Alisha, and in the same breath help her and Sorey escape. What is this honor that they keep talking about? Mixed signals much? Next time we see them, they're testing Sorey at Spiritcrest, trying to see if he's actually worthy of the title, and then out of nowhere a seraph named Dezel steps in to haul away the downed assassin. Silent, no explanation, and that's weird, right? A seraph working with assassins. Even stranger, there's no malevolence around these killers. They're clean. Why? It doesn't stop there though. In Marlind, the assassin and Dezel crash another conversation, this time questioning why Sorey would even consider leaving right after saving the town, which is odd, so I have to ask, why do they care? What's in it for them if he stays or goes? And then, just when Sorey finally cracks under the weight of duty and optimism, who saves him from becoming a permanent battlefield stain? Not Lailah, not Mikleo, not Edna. The assassin, with a dagger. So, what's their goal? Who are they really working for? And why does their interest in Sorey keep bouncing between enemy, ally, and weirdly protective babysitter? I don't know, but it works. At this point, the assassins are one of the most confusing and fascinating threads because their goals are so murky you can't pin them down. And when you can't pin something down, you want to keep watching. What else? I guess there's the Earthen Historia, supposedly this mystical breadcrumb trail of the past hidden away in iris gems, waiting for the right shepherd to unlock. Except so far, what have we actually learned? Honestly, not much, but let's break it down. The first gem doesn't even give us a message, just a vision. Some guy in an attic writing with a quill. The papers fade into a hardback copy of the Celestial Record. That's it. No ominous voiceover, no ancient prophecy flair. Basically, a promo ad for the Celestial Record. Check it out.
Want to know how the world ends? Or how it began? Or what this guy was eating for lunch when he wrote it? Too bad. The Celestial Record.
That's fun. Lailah basically says, yeah, there's more of these. Collect them all. So lesson 1. Apparently the past is just as stingy with context as the present. The second gem, from Marlind Sanctuary, steps it up a little. At least we get a message. The mighty Roland's army prepares to march to war. The soldiers cheer their general. Which is just vague enough to mean everything and nothing at the same time. Then there's the third one, tucked away in the Board's ruins. This one gets interesting. The author of the Celestial Record founds a village with his wife, child, and friends. That's new. Suddenly, our attic-dwelling historian is building society. Sorey immediately jumps to the big theory. What if the author of the Celestial Record was a shepherd? And for once, that actually makes a lot of sense. So what do we actually know from all of this? That the Celestial Record's author was real, he may or may not have been a shepherd, and the Roland's Empire was busy doing what empires usually do, starting wars. That's it. 3 visions in, and it's still 90% atmosphere, 10% information. But that's the trick, isn't it? The Earthen Historia aren't here to answer questions, they're here to raise them, to give you just enough history to feel like you're scratching the surface of something bigger while making sure you're still stumbling around in the dark. And that's where I'll leave this one. Sorey's optimism has just been chewed up by malevolence, spat out by the Hellion leader, and saved at the last second by an assassin with questionable motives and an even more questionable Seraph sidekick. We've seen the battlefield twist itself into a breeding ground for corruption, met shadows of history in the form of iris gems that raise more questions than they answer, and watched Sorey continue to sprint face first into destiny like it's a contact sport. Next time, things slow down, at least for a minute. I aim to get us into the little mountain town of Galahad, a place that feels quiet on the surface but is really just the calm before the storm, because right after that, Sorey's about to face the trials of the shepherd, and if history has taught us anything so far, it's that nothing in this world is ever as straightforward as it looks. So take a breath, because the next leg of the journey is going to start with the game's biggest face reveal, but for now, some things to think about. If the shepherd is light, then why are the shadows saving him? If optimism is strength, then why does it break him? And if destiny is real, then who's really writing it? Thanks for watching.